Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to my channel. It is me, busted Jeffree Star minus the scandals. So today we are going to be talking about something silly because I'm going to be real with you. This week has tested all of my limits. If I do read about a story about somehow someone getting away with murder, it might just very well be what will push me over the edge. I feel like I need to do some breathing exercises, scream. I'm not the one to be pushed today, which is why I am going for Grim Reaper, or should I say Green Reaper. Every so often, I like to tune into stories that are so in my mind ridiculous, but not necessarily because anything all that crazy happened, but because I can't believe it's a story that was on something like BBC, right? So my best friend sent me a TikTok of this and I was like, I'm sure there won't be any like mainstream news sources that are going to be reporting on it because it's such a like tea type story, right? And then I Google it and lo and behold, like the first 5 sources were actually quote unquote serious newspapers. And I was like, okay, this is why I don't really take journalism seriously. This is also why I enjoy journalism, because today I have to have a laugh. And also it's Valentine's Day, which I didn't realize until just now. Karolina Shino, Ukraine-born Miss Japan, gives up crown following affair. Now, I just thought that this headline was one of the most embarrassing things I've ever read. So I was like, you know what? This is the video for the day. So I don't know what all the rules are for Miss Japan. There are plenty of times where there is a Miss insert country that was not born in said country, but her parents are from said country, blah, blah, blah. But apparently there also is controversy on the fact that she's Ukraine-born as opposed to being born in Japan, since it is Miss Japan. I'm not going to go Miss Congeniality on all of this, so let me just move on. Happy fucking Valentine's Day, by the way. The Ukraine-born winner of the Miss Japan beauty pageant has given up her crown after a tabloid report revealed her affair with a married man. I'm not gonna go into the comments I saw on TikTok and I think on Twitter as well, actually, about her generally, because it is a beauty pageant. So like, I do think people will obviously comment on your looks, but there were a number of people who didn't think that she should have won in the first place. And this just makes it so much worse because people weren't accepting that she was at the beauty standard, whatever that is, of beauty contests, Miss Insert X country contests. And so this just makes it so much worse. And I mean, I think you can see where I'm going with this. It's not, we don't need Sherlock over here. Karolina Shino, 26, was crowned Miss Japan 2 weeks ago, but her win sparked public debate due to her heritage. While some welcomed the naturalized citizen's crowning, others said she didn't represent traditional Japanese beauty ideals. Amid the furor, a local magazine published an expose alleging an affair. And I actually tendentially agree with that. Now, obviously, every country has its own, varied stereotypes, right? Like, you might have a Swede who fits the stereotype of like blonde, blue-eyed, and tall, the same way you might have a Swede who is short and has black hair. So I'm not saying we should reinforce necessarily the stereotypes, but it's like, if your beauty ideals don't match up with the country, I don't know, am I about to get into a controversy over this? Every time I speak about something that I think is just not a big deal, I end up saying something apparently very problematic. People who watch these shows, can you let me know what the consensus is? To be clear, to some degree, I think it's good to push back on the stereotypes and not reinforce them, right? So if we go with the example I said before of like the tall, blonde, blue-eyed Swede, yes, it's good to show that there are Swedes who are not like that. At the same time, I think ideals are more than just what you look like. The same way that if I had to go for a pageant, which would be tragic, I don't Like, I look more German than I do Italian, but I don't claim my German heritage, even though my dad is German. So, like, where do you put me, right? So I think that there's all of that complication. But from what I've seen, a lot of these pageants are still old-timey in that they kind of want to reinforce, to a degree, the stereotypes and ideals, which don't necessarily separate. Does that make sense? The article in I'm not even going to pronounce that, reported that Ms. Shino had engaged in a relationship with a married influencer and doctor. The man has not provided any public comment. In its initial response to the last week, the pageant organizers defended Ms. Shino, saying she hadn't known the man was married. However, on Monday, organizers said she'd confessed to knowing about the man's marriage and family. See, this is what in my head I think happens in not even little towns, but in like pockets of cities. Right? There's the drama of, and I call it drama to not call it something else, but there's the drama of who's sleeping with who and who allegedly had affairs with who. Now imagine you're having that drama in your life and the news reports on it. Like, imagine the embarrassment. Imagine your entire family knowing that you went out with a married man who has a child or children and going through with it. Just like imagine people being in your business like that. And I don't know if it's because I'm a particularly private person. Like if I choose to share something, that's one thing. But if there are things shared that I didn't choose to put out there, I find it appalling. It could genuinely be something non-consequential, like someone saying that I only drink skim milk. But if I didn't choose to share that, appalling, embarrassing, I will never recover. She had apologized for being misleading, and organizers had accepted her title resignation, the Miss Japan Association said. Miss Shino also apologized to her fans and the general public in a statement on Monday where she said she'd acted out of fear and panic in response to the report. "I'm truly sorry for the huge trouble I've caused and for betraying those who supported me," she said. The Miss Japan title will now remain vacant for the rest of the year, although there were several runners up. Now, my question about all of this, because I find pageants like so strange. I'm not going to get started on child pageants because there I have very predictable opinions, but pageants generally I find so strange because depending on the country you're in, from the little I've seen, it seems like there is a level of cultural infusion in the sense of if you don't uphold the values of that country, that could be in the way. So like they might decide you're the prettiest, smartest, most athletic, whatever, but if there's something about you, even maybe, you know, your orientation, your sexual orientation, that doesn't really align with the country's image or the image they want to portray, you're donezo. So I'm wondering if that's also part of this, because realistically, should it really have an impact that she had an affair? No, unless we're now going to be talking about morals being part of the pageant as well, which is fair enough. But I'm wondering about that. The competition had crowned Miss Shino on the 22nd of January, the first person of European descent to be given the honor. She was born in Ukraine before moving with her mother to Japan when she was 5 and taking on her stepfather's Japanese last name. She speaks and writes fluent Japanese and became a naturalized citizen in 2022. Upon receiving the title, she had said in her speech, "I had not been accepted as Japanese many times, but I am filled with gratitude to have been recognized as Japanese today." Well, that aged poorly. You guys know that I'm with cheaters, I'm not neutral about cheating. I don't see much gray areas for cheating. So especially in cases like this, I don't really see much of a gray area. One of them was a married man. I guess unless he's separated, we can come up with all these theories, but I do find it genuinely very sad that someone who probably didn't ever feel quote unquote Japanese enough, like they didn't fit whatever it means to be Japanese, which is something you guys can determine for yourselves, getting this honor of like finally being recognized as who you identify with, who you think you are, but then having your renewed sense of identity being like, oh, we're gonna take this back. This is not for you, not anymore, so sorry. I just wanted a reason to use this. But anyway, you guys can let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like I said, this is silly. I will get back to completely content that makes you lose your faith in humanity, but I needed something lighthearted seeing as I have class today and it's probably going to be very depressing. My class has been on a death kick like this entire week, and it's just a lot to sit to talk about death for 3 hours straight, 4 days a week. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to my patrons as always, and I'll catch you guys next time.